This is Kelso Sturgeon. Thank you very much for joining me for another session at my college advanced sports handicapping. This report is going to be primarily about the Super Bowl, but I want to talk about a little basketball too. And this report covers Thursday and Friday sports. We'll be back here on Saturday morning with a Super Bowl update and a lot to say about the big college basketball schedule on the weekend. First of all, I'm doing quite well in basketball. I've got to admit that I've lost my last two big game plays, both in overtime, and for that I apologize. But, you know, I've been on a pretty solid run in college basketball and the NBA. And tonight, releasing my 100-unit college upset game of the year, I'm releasing a team that has a 50-50 chance to win straight up, and it is a giant underdog. Being offered at a public line, I know we have all the edges to get the cash. Be sure that you get this 100-unit college upset game of the year tonight. It's available on this website and toll-free at 1-800-755-2255. All major credit cards accepted. Also tonight, my Best Bets Club is going for another 2-0 night. 2-0 last night. And 6-2 this week so far. My Chairman's Club going for its fourth consecutive 25-unit winner on that big Pacific Coast NBA game between the Los Angeles Clippers and the Golden State Warriors on television. And you can get those games also on this website and toll free at 1-800-755-2255. Now, it's very important to let you know how the public in Las Vegas feels about the Super Bowl. You know, I talk to a lot of sharps, listen to the public, talk with bookmakers, correspond with bookmakers offshore, and this is the first Super Bowl that I can remember, and by the way, I've seen every single one of them. This is the first Super Bowl that I can remember in which bookmakers and big bettors are really undecided about where they're going to go, and they have not really stepped up and made a stand. Now, there were a lot of wise guys who jumped in early, drove that Seattle -2.5 line to Denver -2.5. In discussions with them, most of them are shooting for the middle. Also, if there's any lean on the part of the sharps, it's a little bit toward the underdog, but they're just wanting the number to go to 3. If the number goes to 3, then they're going to be all over the underdog. I share that with you, just so you would know. Now, I'm releasing the Super Bowl for the second straight year as a 400-unit play. I got all the cash last year with the underdog Baltimore Ravens, a 300-unit play, 50 units on the over in that game, and then a 50-unit parlay on the side and total a bank-breaking situation. That left me with a record of 23-3 on sides and totals in the Super Bowl since 2001. I'm very confident about the winner of this year's game, and I'm going for it. And I intend to win another 300-unit play, a 50-unit bet on the total, and a 50-unit side and total parlay. Obviously, that will be available on Sunday. Now, you know, the facts and figures about the Super Bowl are to me the whole story. Now, right now, Denver is a 2.5-point favorite, but very interesting. Offshore, Denver is a -2 in some books, a -1.5 in others, and a -1 in a few. Now, the difference in Las Vegas, -2.5 across the board, those three different numbers offshore, very interesting, because the truth of the matter is the big bettors bet offshore. They don't bet in Las Vegas. They don't want to expose themselves to all the regulations and restrictions, and very difficult to bet a lot of money here unless you know somebody. Anyway, so I think it's interesting that the number is lower offshore than it is in Las Vegas. Just something to keep in mind, because the books offshore do get most of the big bettors from around the country. I'm not saying they're right or wrong. I'm just saying that's what's happening. The total's a solid 47 everywhere you want to go. If you're a money line player, and if you like the dog, you've got to bet the money line here. If you think the dog will win straight up. Denver, the favorite, is a -130 on the money line. The take back on Seattle is a +110. In other words, instead of laying 110 to win 100, if you like Seattle, and plus the points, you can lay 100 and win $110. It's a little bit of an edge, and we like to take all of those. So there's many ways to bet the Super Bowl. You can bet the side, you can bet the total, you can bet the parlay, and then you can bet something that we call proposition bets. Now, there are a series of proposition bets that truthfully are made for dartboard handicappers, and there's nothing wrong with that. Recreational bettors can have just as much fun betting the Super Bowl as do the high rollers and the guys who bet $10, $15, $20, $50,000 a game. So I'm not denigrating the dartboard style here. And if you're a dartboard guy, you can take your best shot and make a wager on whether the coin flip will be heads or tails. I think you have to lay 103 to 100 to win that bet, etc. But there are bets that actually can be calculated and based on the numbers that are already in the book. Now, nothing is ever for sure in a proposition bet, and bookmakers love them because that's where all the profit is. They hold 35% of all the money that's wagered on proposition bets, but hold just about 4.5% on other wagers. So the profit on the proposition bets are heavily weighted in favor of the bookmaker, but that still doesn't mean that you can't play them. There's the sharps have been all over the totals earlier in the week. Here's some totals that you can actually calculate, and I'm just list 4 or 5 of them, and you can jump in and decide for yourself. Okay, the rushing yards by Seattle's Marshawn Lynch, and by the way, I think he's the key to Seattle winning the game if they are to win it. Okay, the number right there is that he will rush for a 92.5 yards in the game. You can bet over, you can bet under. Lay 110. Will Lynch score a touchdown? If you think that Lynch will score a touchdown, if you have to lay $145 to win 100. If you think Lynch won't score a touchdown, then you can get $125 for every $100 wager. A couple of things on Manning, because I think Manning is the key to the Denver Broncos winning, and not saying they will, but if you want to bet on passing yards, for instance, if you want to bet on Wilson, Wilson is down for 82.5 yards, and if let me back up here. Let me get to Manning. I don't want to talk about Wilson. Manning is down for 285 yards. You can bet over or under, laying 110. And then we have the total receiving yards by Denver's Wes Welker. He's down for 54.5 yards. You can bet the over and under there, minus 110. And once again, these last things that I brought up, these are things that you can actually do some reasonably accurate calculation on how these guys are going to perform on their past performances. So you can either play the dartboard propositions that are just 50-50 and who knows what's going to happen, or you can play those that give someone a bit of an edge. Now, there's 2 or 3 things I want to mention about the Super Bowl. First of all, the betting favorites are 26, 19, and 2. They've covered 72% of the time in the first 47 Super Bowls. Betting underdogs have won 4 of the last 6 and stand 5-1 against the number in those games. There have been, in 6 previous Super Bowls, the number 1 offensive team, that would be Denver, and the number 1 defensive team, that would be Seattle, in the NFL playing. Very interesting that in the last 5 of these games, the defensive team is 4-1 straight up and 3-0 against the number as a favorite, and 1-1 against the number as an underdog. So in the past, defensive teams have had a little bit of an edge. Now, Denver comes into this 11-6-1 against the number this season. By the way, both teams are 15-3. Seattle 12-6-0 against the number. Denver's gone over by a margin of 11-7. Seattle has gone under by a margin of 12-6. So we have an offensive-defensive battle here, and it's very, very enlightening in the handicapping to realize what a matchup this is. The number 1 offense, the number 1 defense who breaks first, and that's really what it's all about. As I said, I'm releasing the Super Bowl at the 400 unit level. I'm 11-2 with winning sides since 201, 12-1 with winning total since 201. And by the way, that is a certified number. I intend to keep right on winning with another 400 unit play on Sunday. But I've got a great Super Bowl package put together. Tonight, Thursday night, releasing that 100 unit college upset game of the year. Friday night, my 100 unit NBA game of the year. On Saturday, my 200 unit college blowout game of the year. And we'll continue with that on the Saturday report. And then Sunday, it's 400 units on the big one. My Super Bowl package includes 5 days of big game winners, including the Super Bowl. You can get all the information on this website or toll free at 1-800-755-2255. All major credit cards are accepted. I thank you very much for watching today. We will be right back here Saturday morning with a Super Bowl update and a big rundown on the remaining college basketball and NBA games for the weekend. Thank you.